Over the past 2 years, Newcastle has seen its fair share of disasters and accidents in the workplace, from the earthquake to more obvious work-related dangers. Contagious diseases like Legionnaires caused concern last year, while more recently asbestos has posed a danger to workers at the Royal Newcastle Hospital. So it was timely that Newcastle was chosen to host the 25th Occupational Health and Safety Convention at City Hall, which attracted more than 500 delegates. Speakers included Ian Prigg, who stressed that this decade will be a time of improvement in work safety, spurred on by the need for increased efficiency during the economic downturn. Award restructuring, he said, will also increase opportunities to incorporate health and safety issues in new training programs. But he believes emphasis on the environment will continue. New products on display at the convention included containers for transporting hazardous chemicals and absorbent socks for containing a chemical spill, as well as a wide range of safety equipment for all aspects of industry.
The Salon Culinaire represents hundreds of hours of work with painstaking attention to colour and detail. There are 14 categories, each with strict criteria conforming to international standards. Winners here can go on to higher levels of competition.
You can go right to an international scale. Today's exhibition is based on international lines, and of course the pinnacle of that being Frankfurt, the Culinary Olympics. So you can go right to the top.
After close scrutiny, judges award marks for originality, harmony, practicality and presentation. They were particularly impressed by the imaginative use of corned silverside, a less expensive cut presented to please the most discerning connoisseur. The winner of the Best in Show trophy was Rito Gerber from Werner's Swiss Chalet restaurant in the Junction for his entry in the terrine category, and 8 gold medals were awarded to chefs who scored highly.
The 1990 NBN Cameron Handicap was destined to be great. Clear blue skies, mammoth crowds and arguably the strongest field ever to face the starter in its 55-year history. With the Broadmeadow track looking a picture, crowds spilled onto the course to be part of the magical event. The lawns and stands packed with avid racegoers and the once-a-year punters. Inside the Perrier restaurant, guests of the race sponsor NBN enjoyed gourmet delicacies and plenty of bubbling beverages. But no matter how they spent the day, everyone on course today had a common goal in mind.
What's your likely tip for the Cameron Handicap?
I guess I got to go Leverstone Lane, Tracy.
Hardy move.
Don't play.
I'll be back and spot the rock.
Of course, while form was foremost in everyone's mind, fashion too attracted plenty of interest, with the warm spring weather providing ample opportunity for the latest season wear to be given an airing. In fact, the competition was red hot in the final of the Fashions of the Field competition, but in the end a cool Tracy Struton took the honours in a beautifully accessorised soft pink ensemble. Then all eyes turned trackside as the runners for the big one took to the saddling enclosure. In the betting ring, bookies reported enormous interest for all the field. But after much variation, it was finally the 6-year-old Chevelle Cavalier that was sent out favourite at 34. A field of 15 went to the barrier. They jumped as one and settled down to a cracking pace on the fast track. Eventually, as they turned into the straight, it was the Rosehill-trained Shu Chief who shot to the lead and looked to have the race in his keeping. But then came the onslaught. But for the Cavalier camp, the victory celebrations were short-lived, with the announcement of a protest second against third, with the jockey of Liverstoner lady Kevin Moses alleging interference in the run home. For more than 20 minutes, the stewards locked themselves away with the two jockeys and a videotape of the finish before finally declaring Chevelle Cavalier the winner, confirming what trainer Russell Cameron said he knew all along. In his presentation speech, NBN chairman Jim Milner congratulated Cameron and winning jockey Damien Oliver on their professionalism before the pair were presented with a $68,000 winner's cheque and trophies by Mrs Jean Milner. The two-day Broadmeadow Carnival will continue tomorrow with the staging of the $250,000 Winfield Newcastle Gold Cup.
In July this year, furore broke out at Royal Newcastle after a report dated September 88 was uncovered, claiming a significant asbestos risk in the hospital. The Flint report noted danger zones in the McCaffrey and Nixon wings, ordering signs be erected and some staff to wear safety equipment. But this was never carried out. With the union suggesting a cover-up, Executive Officer Stephen Batts called an independent legal inquiry to find out why the findings were hushed up. Today, that inquiry named two men, Safety Officer Norm Pritchard and the then Building Services Manager Barry Gascoigne, both of whom still work at the hospital.
I don't think it was a matter of them making a conscious decision to ignore the report. I don't think it's a matter of commission. I think it's more a matter of omission.
According to the co-author of the inquiry report, Tony Deegan, the safety officer Pritchard made value judgments about the validity of the report, believing some of the recommendations weren't necessary. Further to this, the report states both Pritchard and Gascoigne were ordered by a superior not to erect warning signs. That superior has not been named. The report noted there was no significant increase in health risks for workers in the hospital despite the inaction. Union leaders would not comment till they thoroughly examined the new information. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
The company which runs this bungee jump in New Zealand and at Birkenhead Point in Sydney wants to bring the operation to Newcastle. Because there are no bridges or cliffs to leap off in the city, a 40-metre high crane will be brought in and set up near the tugboats. Jumpers would be taken to the top in an enclosed cage, secured by the ankles with a harness and encouraged to jump. Although Council realises the tourism potential of such an operation, they are cautious in giving it approval.
In making that decision, Council's got to get the advice of the Harbour Foreshore Committee and consider also the possible consequences of any liability that Council might have.
Once Council's legal stand on the matter is clear, this is what we could see on the foreshore, and there are plenty of takers for first go.
I guess if bungee jumping gets the go-ahead, can we count on you being the first one to have a go?
Well, that totally depends upon whether Tracy and Ray will also join me.
The Muswellbrook Shire Council has been looking for a hole in the ground as a solution to a problem confronting many local governments. The town is now well on its way to solving its waste disposal needs into the next century.
The old one is filling up very quickly now after the period of years as we've been using the existing site and also to cater for the development in the future.
The search for a new dump site led Council to the Muswellbrook Coal Company, which operates underground and open cut mines in the area. A small remnant of high-grade coal on the outskirts of town provided the incentive for the company to agree to dig Council a hole. Located a stone's throw from the present garbage dump, the area will only be mined in daylight hours for 5 days a week. There will be no blasting, and operations are subject to numerous environmental protection conditions. A 10-metre deep coverage of overburden from the site will be used to cap the old dump, and from commencement, work must be completed within a set time period. This is the site 1 kilometre away from the nearest residence, where bulldozers and scrapers will go to work to retrieve the 200,000 tonnes of coal within 35 weeks.
Well, economically, I believe we've got the best advantage of that, as well as we're going to be able to go into promoting recycling.
It's hoped work will begin on the site early in the new year. Andrew Lobb for NBN News.
When you're pulling onto a busy road or a major highway, be aware of the speed of the traffic flow. Even though it might be clear for you to turn out of a side street, traffic travelling at 80 kilometres an hour plus can arrive very quickly. And if you're dawdling up the road like a moving roadblock, you can create an accident situation. Keep into the left while you use the acceleration of your vehicle to come up to normal traffic speed as quickly as possible.
Flippers and snorkels may be needed at number 2 if the rain persists, but organisers are confident that every step has been taken to ensure a great day of rugby. Tents will be placed right around the ground to give protection and provide a colourful backdrop to the expected talented encounter. Hamilton defeated Mayfield East in the major semi-final to go straight into this year's grand final, and coach Mark Eads doesn't see a great deal of change in strategy for the decider.
Grand finals are won by that team that has got the commitment early. We'll come out firing early. Certainly the conditions are going to be wet. Playing the game in the opposition's half, waiting for mistakes, but certainly that pressure, field pressure for points is so vital in the big ones, and tomorrow's no exception.
Mayfield East would love nothing more than a premiership in their 50th year in the Newcastle Rugby Union competition, and after their stirring performance against University in last week's preliminary final, they must be considered a real chance to fulfil that dream. Led by a powerful forward pack and centres that act as extra forwards, May East will be tough to stop. Will the weather favour any particular team?
Well, I think it'll suit Hamilton more so than us. I think their forwards are stronger than their backs, without being too critical, but certainly I've got the forwards to match them, so we don't care if it's wet, dry or whatever.
It's up! It's in! And it's a win to the Falcons! A transformation of mammoth proportions. With the sacking of Greg Lazard and the moulding of this young combination to work as a team, the Falcons are now striving to build on their past 2 performances and continue to frustrate the finalist chances of both Brisbane and Illawarra. It was the home game against Brisbane on July 27 that may have given indications of things to come, as the third-placed NBL team scraped in by 2 points. And the man they will have to stop again is superstar Derek Rucker. Oh, Rucker, absolutely brilliant.
Last time we did a pretty good job on him. He scored 28 points, but at a very low percentage. So we sort of contained him, so I think he'll be out for a bit of revenge on us, and hopefully he'll be looking for quite a few points.
The Bullets have lost Robert Sibley, who played brilliantly against the Falcons in July, and he's been replaced by Chris McGraw, who will have the monumental job of containing James Bullock. Oh, what a save by James Bullock!
Bullock's one of the best in the game over here. He's tough, he's aggressive, he can shoot, he can rebound, he can do everything. I think whoever has him is going to have a hard, tough job, and I'm looking forward to it if I do get a chance to play on him.
Not only does Bullock pose a problem to Brisbane, but the whole Falcons team spells trouble.
I believe since they've got rid of Lazard, it's probably put a bit better balance in their team as well. I think they're going to be really tough to play, and you can't take any team in the National League lightly. They might have lost 20 games or whatever it is, but they'll be out there to beat us.
Now that the Falcons are in the role of giant killer, Michael Johnson has high hopes for his Chargers at Boondall tomorrow night.
Well, we've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to win. I think whoever plays us from now on through, Brisbane and Illawarra, can really lose ground to the rest of the league if they lose to us. And as I said, we've got nothing to lose, so we're going to give them one hell of a game.
Glenrock Lagoon didn't look fit to swim in today, and according to the Hunter Water Board, it won't be for many years to come. Water samples have shown levels of faecal coliform as much as 30 times over the safe limit.
We've picked up high pollution levels coming down into Glenrock, and we consider it's coming from the residential area and also overflows from the sewage system.
The Water Board admits its own Charlestown sewage system is inadequate and has vowed to rectify the problem within 3 years. In the meantime, it has called on residents in the Glenrock catchment area to clean up their act.
Well, some of the things that people can do now before we've finished the full study is not to put any pollution into the stormwater drains. Be careful when they're washing the cars down, for instance, as well, so they don't wash a lot of silt into the stormwater, or even detergents can be harmful to the environment.
A carnival atmosphere in conditions that were kindly described as ordinary, as Mayfield East and Hamilton took to the field for the decider, and May East had the first use of the howling southerly breeze. Hoisting the ball high, their forwards were able to surge and put pressure on the Golds. No luck in the Pigs, so spin it wide and the move nearly came off. East earned the first crack at points and Richard Worry made no mistake. Mayfield East had 3 more chances of notching points, but Worry was astray with all attempts. At the other end, the wind played havoc with an attempted field goal by Cameron Wooler. But a minute later, the 5'8" snapped a beauty. 3-3 and Worry was again on target for May East to give them a 3-point lead. 6-3 at half-time, and many pundits were saying that wasn't enough for East, but they dug to the bottom of their reserves. Wooler had another attempted field goal, which was astray, and the East forwards continued to frustrate Hamilton. Then the Golds went close. 16 minutes from time, the rain settled in flood proportions, but somehow Craig Trotter was able to equalise. For the next 16 minutes, both sides threw everything at each other but couldn't add the points that would have given them the win. And in retrospect, being declared joint premiers after scores were locked at 6-all at the end of full-time was a fair result for 2 very gallant teams. In other grades, Merewether Carlton won reserve grade and Wanderers 3rds and 4ths.
daddy's rich, and of course she's gonna so hard, pretty baby, don't you cry.
John Williams has been playing guitar since he was 4. He's Australia's most famous son of strings, having performed in some of the world's greatest venues. He gained immense mainstream popularity with the group Sky, but has since split with the group. On this latest Australian tour, he's matched with flamenco guitarist Paco Pena and the South American group Inter Illimani.
It certainly wasn't the sort of musical thing that you sit down like round a table and think, let's put this and this ingredient together and see how it works. It wasn't that sort of thing. It was just that we knew them and made the most of those circumstances. We met in a concert once that we were all doing a little bit in and decided to do a number together, and that sort of worked pretty well, we thought. So we thought we'd do 2 numbers next time, and that worked, and then we did more. That's how it's grown over the years.
Paco is modest about his gift of music, but explained the essence of flamenco guitar is passion.
It is passionate in the sense that it's a very true statement of feelings in people, and it is to do with conditions in life which are difficult, and it makes people cry out with emotion.
The 7-man troupe and 2 principal guitarists hit the Civic Theatre stage at 8 o'clock tonight. John Church, NBN News.
The backlash from the federal government's decision not to relocate the Maritime Safety Authority in Newcastle continued today, with Trades Hall and the Newcastle Electorate Council of the Australian Labor Party backing the call for an independent inquiry into the fiasco. In a letter to the Prime Minister, the Electorate Council says there is a limit to the kind of treatment that any region can take, and Newcastle is fast approaching it if it hasn't already passed it. The honour and trustworthiness of the government is completely questionable. Trades Hall expressed its outrage by labelling the move as callous, contemptuous and an abandonment of a region that contributes so much to the national and state economies. Both councils are critical of Cabinet for bowing to pressure from senior public servants.
It becomes a question of who in actual fact is running the country.
Mr Barrack believes Newcastle is being ignored because it's regarded as a safe ALP seat.
I think that the consistent decisions that have acted against Newcastle appears to me to be based on it doesn't matter what you do to Newcastle, they're going to vote Labor anyhow.
Strong criticism also from Premier Nick Greiner. As community outrage at the government's broken promise over the Maritime Safety Authority is so widespread, we are inviting you to have your say. From tonight until 6 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll be operating the NBN Newsline, recording your comments or questions on this controversial decision. In a special Newsnight program tomorrow night, a panel will discuss the points you make. You can telephone now on 291 670. That's the NBN Newsline, 291 670, to have your say on the Maritime Safety Authority.
Whether they're in Canberra or in Newcastle, got the same number of people, they cost the same amount, give and take. The second argument that says that people didn't want to go would be absolutely true. We've just decentralised some Elcom people from Sydney to Newcastle, and some of them didn't want to go. And we've decentralised others from Sydney to Orange, and some of them didn't want to go. In fact, most of them don't want to go. But that's surely something you take into consideration at the time you make the decision, and that's got to be part of the process. So either in this case, some of the Newcastle Labor politicians were going off half-cocked, or alternatively, they did do their homework and Federal Cabinet has just done a backflip on it.
You don't think it's bureaucrats out of control?
Well, bureaucrats shouldn't ultimately, and the buck stops with the minister. The buck doesn't stop with the bureaucrats. I accept that there would be a lot of bureaucrats whose life in Canberra would have been disrupted by the move and who wouldn't be happy about it. I understand that's normal human sort of emotion. But it's not the first time a government department's been decentralised or moved from A to B. And you either get new people or you encourage